into Mexico.
Coverage now from our Fox 11 chopper.
This story begins with 3 researchers taking ice samples in Antarctica. However, when they were about to take the next sample, the ice in that area slowly started cracking and splitting into 2 parts. Jack, who felt responsible for the collected ice samples, bravely jumped to retrieve them. However, when he was about to return, he nearly fell, but luckily his colleagues quickly helped him. In New Delhi, a press conference was held, attended by dignitaries from various countries. Jack claimed that global warming would cause the polar ice caps to melt, resulting in a loss of Earth's warmth, and humanity would return to an ice age like 10,000 years ago. Afterward, Jack met a professor from Scotland named Terry Rapson. He took an interest in Jack's discussion and wanted to have a conversation about it. Meanwhile, at the Headland Research Centre in Scotland, they received a warning that the Nomad buoy's temperature had dropped by 13 degrees. As additional information, the Nomad buoy is used to collect data on atmospheric conditions. In another location, specifically in Chiyoda, Tokyo, a severe hailstorm was occurring, resulting in numerous casualties unable to save themselves. Speaking of Jack, today he's gotta take his son, Sam, to New York for a competition. Sam's a pretty smart kid, but he got an F in calculus. He told Jack that the teacher didn't like it when Sam's smarts surpassed his own abilities. So, Sam's on the plane with his buddies, Laura and Brian. Man, you could see the fear written all over Sam's face cause he's scared of heights. And to top it off, the plane was shaking cause of some nasty weather. But hey, Sam made it to New York in one piece. Traffic in New York is a total mess, so they decide to walk cause the race spot is just 2 blocks away. And guess what? Sam spots a bunch of birds flying west. What's that supposed to mean? They're in the competition now, and yeah, they totally aced all the questions. After they finished, Laura gets asked out for a stroll by this other competitor, JD. Rapson gives Jack a call, telling him there's some weird stuff going on with the Nomad buoy. The buoy's temperature dropped, and Rapson thinks it's a sign that Jack's theory is gonna happen soon. But Jack ain't too sure cause he thinks it won't go down that fast. Meanwhile, a huge tornado storm is tearing through Los Angeles. Second by second, that tornado's getting bigger, and it's wiping out skyscrapers like they're nothing. So after that incident, Jack and the researchers had this special discussion. Some of them were thinking that the tornado was caused by the sun, but then another researcher, Janet Okada, shut that down real quick. She was like, "Nah, the sun's rays were totally normal, nothing out of the ordinary." Then Jack comes up with his theory. He's like, "It's probably the melting ice at the poles causing these tornadoes. And not only that, but it's messing with the salt levels in the ocean too. And let me tell ya, if that ice keeps melting, we're gonna see some even crazier weather." So, Janet joins Jack's crew. Jack starts grinding nonstop. No breaks, man. He's on a mission, gathering data for a full 24 hours. And guess what? The analysis shows that climate change is gonna hit in like 6 to 8 weeks. Jack takes the data to the vice president, trying to explain the urgency. He suggests evacuating the whole northern hemisphere, including Scotland and northern Europe. But you know what? The vice president ain't buying it. He's like, "Nah, Jack, your previous prediction was way off. I don't believe ya." And then the news drops, man. There's been this crazy blizzard going on for a whole 24 hours. With that kind of weather, the evacuation officers hop on a helicopter to go to Balmoral Palace. But dang, as they're flying, the blizzard gets even worse, freezing the engine and propeller. Nobody survives that tragedy. Rapson hits Jack up, telling him about this helicopter crash in Scotland caused by the fuel freezing. It's all connected, man. Jack quickly checks it out, and yup, Scotland looks like it just got rocked by a blizzard. It's a mess out there. In New York, it just kept raining for 2 whole days, nonstop. Man, that caused some serious flooding, and it was a nightmare trying to get around with most transportation options out of commission. Sam, Laura, and Brian had plans to head home today, but guess what? All flights were cancelled. Talk about bad luck. They ended up crashing at JD's place for the night, but then more disaster news started popping up, so they had to figure out a way to get back home. As they were making their way, the water levels kept rising, and Sam made a quick decision to seek shelter in the library. But oh man, Laura got hurt along the way and spotted a lady trapped in her car. Laura went over to help and successfully rescued the woman, but dang, she realized she left her bag in the car. Bummer, right? So, Laura had to go back and grab her bag, but the flood was closing in fast. That's when Sam, being the hero he is, sprinted to save Laura. And guess what? They made it out alive. If you take a closer look at the data from Rapson, it turns out there are 3 major storm rotations happening in Canada, Siberia, and Scotland. And get this, these storms are getting bigger and bigger, and if they merge, brace yourselves cause we might be entering an ice age. Jack, after analyzing the data, straight up told Rapson and his crew to evacuate the area ASAP. But man, Rapson seemed to have thrown in the towel. Not long after, Jack got news about the disaster going down in New York. Sam tried to reach Jack using a payphone. But man, the water level was rising and messing with their communication. Before they hung up, Jack told Sam to stay put, not to leave the building, and keep himself warm. He promised to come pick him up soon. While they were chillin' in the library, they spotted a freaking ship sailing into the city. That meant the seawater was higher than the land. Can you believe it? And it doesn't stop there, my friend. Now it's snowing like crazy, covering the whole of New York City. The president even gave an appeal, and hundreds of residents are starting to evacuate. So, with all this chaos, most people in the library started scrambling, trying to find a safer spot. But not Sam, man. He remembered Jack's message and tried to warn everyone that if they forced their way out, they might freeze their butts off. But dang, almost everyone just insisted on braving the storm, thinking they could handle it. Only Sam's crew, a beggar, and a librarian had some common sense. Meanwhile, Jack, Frank, and Jason were getting ready to head to New York. They knew they had a tough journey ahead. Back in the library, Sam had to resort to burning books to stay warm. And they were scavenging for food, trying to survive until help arrived. But guess what? Jack and the gang ran into an avalanche that completely blocked the road. So, they had to ditch the vehicle and continue their journey on foot. After trekking for kilometers, they didn't even realize they were standing on top of a snow-covered glass building. And bro, the weight was too much, and the glass shattered. Frank, who was at the back, got pulled down, but luckily Jack and Jason managed to hold on to him. Frank decides to cut the rope holding the sled together, thinking it would lighten the load. But dude, as Jack gets closer, the glass that was holding it all together starts cracking. When Frank realizes that the situation ain't looking too good, he takes matters into his own hands and cuts the ropes, handing everything over to Jack. The next morning, Laura's pulse is racing like crazy. Someone figures out that she's dealing with septicemia from her injury and needs immediate help. It's a serious situation, man. If you take a look from space, you can see the Earth getting covered in a massive snowstorm. Most of these snowstorms are hit in Asia and Europe, and it won't be long before they make their way to New York. Meanwhile, Jason just can't go on anymore. He's exhausted, man. So, seeing how urgent it is to treat Laura, Sam, DJ, and Brian are desperate to find some medicine. They venture into this dragged ship, and luckily, they stumble upon the medical room. But oh man, the door is locked. Quick thinker Sam takes action. He smashes the window and squeezes through the wall to get inside and find the medicine they need. And here's the crazy part, without them even realizing it, a pack of wolves had snuck into the ship too. While Sam and his crew are exploring another room, out of nowhere, a wolf jumps at him. Poor JD wasn't quick enough to dodge and ends up with a nasty leg wound. The wolves were just chilling at the door, making it super hard for them to make a quick getaway back to the library. Sam decides to be a brave soul and lures the whole pack of wolves away. And dude, it actually works. He manages to escape and rushes over to his friends to get the heck out of there. Using whatever equipment they had, they make their way out with JD, who's injured, and grab some food to survive. But man, as the storm gets closer, everything inside the storm suddenly turns to ice. With the last bit of their strength, they drag JD all the way back to the library. But dang, the storm had already made its way in. Everything they pass instantly freezes. Luckily, they make it to a warm area just in time, so the storm can't spread there. Check this out, from outer space, you can see the storm starting to calm down. And wouldn't you know it, when Jack and Jason finally make their way through, the storm has subsided. With the help of the tools they brought, Jack finds Sam's whereabouts. But man, everywhere they look, it's just snow and frozen stuff. It's like the whole library got covered. They start exploring the library, going through all the hallways and rooms. And finally, they stumble upon a room that's radiating light. And yeah, Jack totally kept his promise, my friend. Jack wastes no time and contacts Tom, letting him know that they made it to New York and that a lot of the residents are safe. The evacuation officers are quick on their feet and get sent out to pick up anyone who's still in New York. They're on a mission to keep everyone safe. And at the end of the movie, after all this disaster stuff goes down, the Earth looks squeaky clean with no pollution. It's like a fresh start, you know? And that's a wrap, folks. You won't believe it, but all the disasters you witness in this film are actually an intricate part of the Earth's self-repair mechanism. It's like the planet is going through its own healing journey, and we get a front row seat to witness its power. Absolutely mind-blowing, isn't it?